Good morning to you.
Good morning, Affirm Foundation for Life. This is Jackie speaking. How may I help you?
This is Rick. I tell everyone, the equipment's getting old and so is the operator.
After 15 years, we've truly earned the title of Northwest Ohio's most trusted host. Well, Rick, aging successfully means maximizing your potential and minimizing the effects of growing old.
That's why we want to invite everyone to sit back and listen up for information that will give you a firm foundation for life.
And good morning. It's Saturday, September 7th, 2019, the first full weekend in September. And there seems to be a hint of fall in the air. And for the 17th consecutive year, this radio program, Affirm Foundation for Life, is coming to you live from the heart of the Great Black Swamp, Bowling Green, for the 27th Annual Black Swamp Arts Festival. And the festival, now known all over the United States, is one of the tops for art and music. It promises to be a great weekend to be alive in Bowling Green. Now, coming up on today's 2-hour program, yes, this is just hour number 1, the Honorable Mayor of Bowling Green in his last year of service, Mayor Dick Edwards. And in hour number 2, you'll hear all about the festival up close and all the acts with Cole Christiansen. Now, Cole has been serving the festival for many years, the last 5 as entertainment coordinator. And we're glad you're joining us this morning in our second 2-hour program here on WSPD. Second 2-hour program, here on WSPD. And again, our news start time is 8 a.m. I'm Jackie, one half of Northwest Ohio's most trusted host, and Rick is right here, as we have done now for over 19 years, side by side.
And today on the program, we're going to do something special that has only been done once on this program before. That's when we were at the 9/11 Memorial, when we dedicated that program to the memory of our guest's brother who died in the South Tower. Today's program, we're going to dedicate to the memory of our good friend Jim Summers.
James F. Summers, Sr. He was born in January 1939. He was 80 years old. And the education officer for the Toledo Power Squadron and the United States Power Squadron.
Educator of the Year. He was a close friend of ours. He was in business in the Toledo area for many, many years in the welding business. But
he passed away yesterday around 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And I had the privilege for the first time in my life of being at his bedside, was holding his hand when he took his last breath. So, Jim, this show's for you. And it's Rick and Jackie, Northwest Ohio's most trusted host in the heart of the Great Black Swamp this morning. It's the Black Swamp Arts Festival. And Mayor Edwards is going to be with us here right after the break. So stay tuned. It's Rick and Jackie on our new 2-hour program here on 1370 WSPD and 92.9 FM.
3, 2, 1. Well, good morning, and thank you for listening to Affirm Foundation for Life with Rick and Jackie. And we have as our guest this morning, Mayor Edwards, Mayor of Bowling Green, Ohio.
Well, thank you, Jackie.
Thank you for joining us.
How much I always look forward to joining with you. And this is a time that coincides with our 26th annual Black Swamp Arts Festival.
Who would have thunk?
So I know it's an amazing story. And
It's 8 consecutive years we've been together, and maybe our last.
That's right.
At least in this capacity.
I hate to think about it.
In this capacity, we will have him on again for something or other, I'm sure.
People will say, well, this is the last time you're going to do this, last time you're going to do that. So, maybe yes, maybe no, but certainly not wearing my mayor's hat. So, it's been a wonderful 8 years.
Before we get into the Black Swamp Arts Festival, we're building another house.
Yes.
49 years now I've been building houses in Bowling Green. That's over a quarter of the time that Bowling Green has existed as a city. And, it's frustrating. We can't get any workers now and how things have changed. And I was talking with another builder up in Perrysburg the other day. We're talking about housing costs approaching $200 a square foot.
Isn't that's just totally amazing.
Yeah.
And since my grandfather was in the construction business, it would really boggle his mind, and he lived to be 98. But it's just hard to believe what the square foot cost is these days. But I happen to go out every year, usually starting in February, March, and April, sometimes still into May, with Sue Clark, our Director of Economic Development for our very independent Bowling Green Community Development Foundation. And it's not a part of the city, but we work hand in glove with them, of course, and it's been a wonderful vehicle tool for enhancing economic development in the city here. But that's one of the things when we go out and we meet with all the presidents and plant managers and others, and the personnel people and so forth, we hear time and time again
Can't get
the
workers.
the paucity of skilled workers. And
Now, you've been in higher education, you've been county government.
4 universities. I've got lots of scars to prove it too.
What do you think the problem is? Have you put your finger on it yet with workers?
Well, no, I haven't, because I really I love working with the president of Terra, not Terra, but
Oh, okay.
no, our
Oh,
president
Owens?
Owens, Steve Robinson,
Yeah.
and Steve is full of energy and a lot of ideas, and he and our friends at Penna, I think, are doing it, and also over there in the Fremont area. They're doing some wonderful things there, and combining with some of our industrial employers where they're actually working to bring in young people and showing them developing a skill, and they'll help pay for their furthering their education then, because it works for both groups there. It helps the individual who might be looking for a career in the skilled trades or whatever, and then there's all these manpower needs.
If somebody comes along and is just dependable and reliable and honest
Oh,
and
yeah.
hardworking, they can make a good living.
Oh,
Whether they want to be a
tremendous.
plumber, an
Yeah.
electrician, a drywall man, a painter, or
No,
a
you want
carpenter.
to bronze them because
Yeah.
they're absolutely their future is very secure,
Yeah.
and they can also finish their degree
An
work
auto
too.
repairman, I mean,
No, yeah.
you choose.
We see it time and time again, and that's why it's worth it. I know whoever, it looks like our president of city council will be succeeding me, and I know he feels very strongly about some of these same issues, and we'll be going out with Sue to call on the heads of our industrial, many of our industrial sector groups here, and that where our unemployment in the industrial sector here in Bowling Green is up probably close to 5,000. And so it's really grown dramatically over the
Right.
years, and so we feel very, very good about that. I wish we had in your business. I appreciate what you've done and building homes.
I've had hundreds
but-
of employees over the years,
Yeah.
and so it's extremely frustrating today to
Well,
see
not
this.
only you've had the employees, but you've had you've built homes that attract people that don't have to be extremely affluent in order to purchase a house. They're good quality homes, and they're affordable. Affordable, and we can't really get enough of affordable housing. And I hope one of these days that I can live long enough to see some even over in the over there in the on their east side of town, close to the campus, where a lot of faculty and staff used to live when we first moved to Bowling Green. And there's I still think there's some attractive areas over there, and that some of those neighborhoods can be can redevelop again.
One thing you want to keep in mind, there's no such thing as affordable new housing.
No, no.
That's an oxymoron, okay? And I remind lots of people that because I get questions about that.
I've been
Can't we-
fascinated with retro housing, where they're building. We happen to know Carmel, Indiana very well because we have a daughter there. It's an amazing community. I've gotten to know the mayor there. He's a graduate of Ohio Northern Law School. And community of about 90,000. They have 127 roundabouts in the city. But they've
How
done
many roundabouts?
127 in the city of Carmel, Indiana.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just amazing. It's called Roundabout USA. So
I guess
you
so.
don't have to worry about getting waiting for any traffic lights there, so to speak, around it. But in any event, they've done a lot of going into older home areas and done what I call retro housing. Back have a look of the 30s and 40s, but new homes, and with over there they can get away with pretty high price tags on them, and they're swept up immediately. They can't build them fast enough. And some of these older neighborhoods there, because they're within walkable distance of a very attractive downtown area. And
so you're saying you would go into some of our older neighborhoods near the center of downtown?
Well, it certainly is working some other places.
And demolish the houses and build new ones?
If builders like yourself wanted to come in and demolish.
I thought that might be a wave of the future.
Yeah, but I'm seeing it certainly in some other
We have to change
communities.
the lot configuration. The biggest thing is garages.
No doubt.
It's
and,
garages and parking.
and zoning
Yeah.
too, so there's no doubt about it. Well,
you'd have to ask for a special exception from your zoning. Discuss as the mayor, we'll move along here a little bit, the number of meetings. I know we talked about getting together this week and you had meetings every night. And, isn't it supposed to be a part-time job still?
well, technically it's a part-time
That's what I
job,
thought it was.
but holy cow.
Yes.
You know, and the rate of pay, you don't get into it as for,
Yeah, you're right.
and it's even hard to find some attaboys there. You have to have a cast iron stomach, but no, it's basically all good, and it has been a wonderful 8 years, a good run, and I really appreciate the people in the community, the support. We have such a strong professional staff down there. They help me out. They've just been wonderful to work with. I appreciate their kind of background and their training and their professionalism. And also, I've been very fortunate to have a good working relationship with members of City Council. And we don't look at it politically. Most of them have a different initial after their name than I do. But we work together and try to do the best we possibly
That's
can.
one of the things when I moved here, when Rick and I got married and I moved here, I appreciated that so much. The fact that everybody worked together, regardless of the RDI, whatever you had after. And it shows in the beauty of the community.
And people have prospered
Yes.
because of it.
Well, I like to quote Harry Truman, Harry S. Truman, our 38th president there. I better watch myself because I get caught up on that. I should know immediately. But in any event, I've always remembered that wonderful quote from Harry Truman, and I used it at the summer commencement address, my summer commencement address at BGSU back on August 17th. It goes simply, it's very simple. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. So if you're willing to tuck in your ego a little bit and work and so forth and keep the stupid politics out of some things too, it is amazing sometimes what you can accomplish in that.
But still, the mayor seems to be the face of the city.
There-
in any city.
There's no doubt.
Seems to take the blame and
I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. So
very well
you have
put.
to,
Yes.
you have to roll with the punches and not be a counter puncher necessarily either.
You
Use
know,
fighting terms.
Bruce Ballard used to say that he thought he had more power as the president of council than he did as the mayor.
Well, that's true. Given the nature of our charter form of government and so forth, it's what I like to, and I love talking to students about this because it's a check and balance kind of thing. And Bowling Green's a good example of that, where council has certain powers. You can't just go spending money without the approval of council. And I make appointments we have like 24 committees, commissions, and boards and so forth, but it's a recommendation to council, and then they stamp the approval. We haven't any problem with this. I appoint people regardless of their politics, just their commitment to a given topic or what they want to do and help their city and so forth. So, it's somehow you try to make it work. Yeah, you are. You're front and center, and you.
Well, let's go on to the white elephant, and that's the town being tore up for months. I'm sure that people that listen to this program are going to want to know. You must have taken a lot of heat.
Well, please come to Bowling Green. It's starting today right here with the Black Swamp Arts Festival. Not because you can get.
We didn't think you were going to make that.
Well, I know a lot of people were probably betting that we weren't going to make it, and but it won't be entirely done. But we still will have some mill work to do on the
Side street.
the East Worcester and West Worcester. But Main Street is basically all done. They're finishing off some of the ADA compliance things and the curbs and what have you, and we got a little work to do there. But it will be, as you can see today, everything's in place.
Yeah.
We're accommodating all the artists and the crowds and the buses. If people don't want to drive and trying to find a spot in downtown Bowling Green, they can get a bus from 2 or 3 locations right here in the city, and it only costs $2 one way. So
And they're dropping them off in
Dropping
front of
right
the
off.
police station
right,
there.
just
So
right,
it's
right.
just-
What has this done to local businesses? It's hurt a lot of them.
It hurt them, and this is the kind of thing that maybe, I don't want to dramatize this and exaggerate the fact, but it does really work at your innards because things don't go according to schedule all the time. You know this from your own business. Weather can be a huge factor, and we certainly had some very tough weather days. And then as I just
You mentioned
previously
a lot of
referenced,
things
a lot
underground
of
that you didn't
the
expect.
stuff that wasn't expected and so forth, and And so you're digging around, working around, and then Columbia Gas had already invested heavily in their project there too the year before. So it's been a real steady stream of repair work there and making, but it's going to be good for the long haul. And certainly now people can move about the downtown area without any trouble. But I really feel my heart goes out to the shop owners and the business owners there and the property owners in the downtown area. And so that's why I felt very, very good about elevating, moving up, accelerating, whatever term you want to use, the holiday free parking thing.
Sure.
At least for 2 hours. So I thought it was important, and I certainly consulted with a number of people on this whole thing. Yes, it had some dollar implications, but the big thing was to give a psychological lift to people, and I think basically it has worked. It's helped. I hope it's been appreciated. I think so, because I meet every month with the Special Improvement District Board, downtown Bowling Green. Tony Vetter, our executive director there, is doing a fine job, but it's been a lot of impediments there for moving things right along as fast as you would like. But we're open for business. We're doing just fine right now.
Yeah, you're listening to Rick and Jackie this morning. It's Black Swamp Arts Festival in Bowling Green, Ohio. We're with Mayor Edwards here 8 consecutive years. This will be his last year, and to take that all in, and he's given it his all for 8 years.
Thank you.
Yeah. And right now we're talking about the improvements in downtown, which was tore up for months, but it looks like we're going to make it here for this weekend. You know, on top of what was going on downtown, you had the I-75. You had the interchange out there, and
we had the roundabout. That was I don't want to give myself a pat in the back, but I was helped by the folks in Carmel, Indiana, to have experience over there, and with the ODOT people, they have been just wonderful. And there's an amazing young woman who's only 23 years old, who's a product of the University of Toledo College of Engineering. She said, "I want you to know that I'm not a civil engineer. I'm an engineer." And but her name is Aurora. That's her first name. She's very attractive, very, very bright, and this was her first big project there that she did out there, and it went swimmingly. No really major impediments at all, and I can't thank enough the university for their cooperation, because we had to get some of their land there.
Sure.
We're still working on some of the infrastructure issues out there related to it, but that wonderful new bridge over there's been, now you can handle pedestrian and bicyclists as well. And you see a nice big stretch of orange going across there both ways, identifying many people will pick up that this means Bowling Green State University. And then it will be in another week or so, you're going to see a sign going across there that says Bowling Green. So we're going to be in line with some of the other communities that have been well ahead of us of making it more attractive and inviting to come into there. So this will be a new front door for the university, and certainly for downtown Bowling Green. We hope that will. And then what the university has been doing to buying up some of those, I call them derelict homes there, and they've made a very substantial commitment. I'm grateful to their presidents, Mary Ellen Mazie and current Rodney Rogers, for keeping that up, with the backing of the Board of Trustees and the BGSU Foundation Board for making all that happen, because it's really made quite a difference. Because President Rogers and I, as I've been doing for 8 years, we walk the neighborhoods there. This is with the start of school. We try to knock on doors. We see the surprised look of people saying, "Oh my gosh, here's the mayor, as the president of the university." We just want to remind you, just be good citizens and respect the rights of your neighbors and so forth. Try to help the neighborhoods out.
That tradition started with John Quinn, didn't it?
I don't know if John did it or not, but I know that
he reached out, and
Mary Ellen.
I
don't know if he's worked the neighborhoods there. I just can't recall that, but he had an excellent working relationship, certainly with the university. And
people complained all the years about the college students, and we said we need to reach out to them and let them know they're included as citizens.
No, we've been building on a lot of good
that never happened when I was in college. We're going to take a break there. It's Rick and Jackie with Mayor Edwards here. We're talking about the Black Swamp Arts Festival, which is happening right now. Started last night, Friday night, with the music. Come on down this morning.
We're over, whichever way you're coming.
Yeah, by noon or so, the streets will be packed, and we're looking forward to showing off all the improvements in downtown. It's Rick and Jackie, Northwest Ohio's most trusted hosts here on 1370 WSPD and 929 FM.
Welcome back again to A Firm Foundation for Life with Rick and Jackie. We have joining us after these breaks, Mayor Dick Edwards of Bowling Green. And
Thank
we've
you.
been talking about all this.
Wonderful, Jackie and Rick, to be with you once again, my 8th year here with you. And here we are sitting in lovely downtown Bowling Green.
Part of the Great Black Swan.
Yeah.
With new roadways and accommodations and some wonderful things down there. One of the neat things, you talk about community initiatives and people stepping up and forward and helping out. There are 4 businesswomen in our community came up with the whole idea of Firefly Nights.
Okay.
And they own their own businesses and so forth. And I'm going to mention their names: Katie Thompson, Gail Waterbeck, Laura Wicks, and Stacy Banfield. And but they've had we've got these Firefly Nights on a Friday night.
At Worcester Green.
And the last 2 have been in Worcester Green because we've had the downtown area all torn up. But before, last year we started
They
on.
were resourceful.
Yeah, very.
They were resourceful.
Yeah, and thank goodness for we had the Worcester Green, because it was so wonderful to see all the things out there for the kids, water slides and what have you. But and then a tent type situation for adult beverages and good music, all in the downtown area. It just brought people all out, and then vendors, the food trucks, and it really helped to bring the downtown alive. And so we did it there, of course, on South Main Street there first, initially last year, and because of the construction, we had to do it here, tied in with the Worcester Green. And I'm really, really proud of the Worcester Green, the way it's been a long time in coming and so forth. We've just worked away on it. We've been able to raise close to $400,000, thanks to Sharon Hanna and a group, lots of other people that have stepped forward on that. And so Bowling Green never had what you might call a definable place in downtown area there, like so many places
Green
have
space,
a green space, or it's not a park either, but just a place, a gathering place. So here we are, we've got the benches and we've got a wonderful gazebo, and there's going to be, our next step in this whole process will be a wonderful piece of public art. We've got the competition underway right now. We'll be making the decision probably in October, and then we'll have the big inauguration of the whole of the Worcester Green this next June. So we're really looking forward to that. But it's been a major asset for downtown Bowling Green. I know some people say, well, come on, Mayor, we've got too much green space, and I like to say, well, there's never enough of it, As Will Rogers used to like to remind us, boys, they ain't making it no more. So if it's done wisely and appropriately, those are all nice terms to use, but we're not inhibiting other kinds of development either. So, but it's wonderful. It's not Central Park in New York City, but it's just a little spot where people can come, be comfortable, and enjoy it. And it's going to be wonderful to see all those trees start to mature. And the beautiful thing about this, Jackie, is because you've had a very special relationship with the Center for Aging, the Wood County Center for Aging there. They're going to be right across.
23rd year.
Yeah, right across the street there. And so the symbiotic relationship between the historic downtown Bowling Green, the Boomtown Historic District, and the Worcester Green, and now the Senior Center, and the oldest church in town, the First Presbyterian Church there. It's all coming together, and I think most people see how the mutually reinforcing aspect of these things.
Earlier we were talking about the commonality of everybody. It wasn't a letter after your name. It was working for the good.
Right,
and
absolutely.
This is proof in the pudding.
Well, Jackie, you're spot on there, believe me, and it works. And it's nice to see people coming together. Yes, we all have our different points of view, and we want to argue maybe a little bit, show a little passion for it. I certainly see it, the folks coming before City Council. Sometimes I say, oh, please give me a break, but most people, it's one of the beautiful things about Bowling Green, has been historically, is that people, yes, they have a lot of passion. They care about their community. They love their community.
Exactly.
And so they want to make sure things are basically done as best they possibly can to keep the community moving forward. And And so most people are willing to make accommodations and adjust their own points of view, but so just trying to make their case. But it all works. It's wonderful. It comes together, and it's amazing. Sometimes it doesn't take, government. The wheels of government sometimes grind so slowly it just drives you wild at times, but it's all healthy because it's a check and balance system too. So no one has an open checkbook and running around and saying, well, or ordering being a dictator and saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So it's all these folks coming together and trying to understand
It's
for
really
the common good.
It's really important this time in the history of Bowling Green that the senior center meets the needs of that age group of people, which is really the fastest growing demographic in town.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And this building is going to be 3 times the size of what we currently have, which will allow us to accommodate
The programming.
all the programming
it's
that
being
has
required.
been going
See,
on.
that's and what you're also doing there, Jackie. You and your colleagues there at the senior center, you've worked with the university. They have a nationally prominent center on optimal aging.
Correct.
It's going to be an integral part of this new
Correct.
senior center, and I think that's absolutely marvelous. And it's because it's not only going to be addressing needs locally in Wood County and the region, but also putting in the national spotlight there with this National Center for Optimal Aging. So.
But it's still a community-based building, and it's going to be community usable.
Absolutely.
Right,
and another building that we have going like this, and forgive me, I don't want to get into mayor speak here. I've probably done too much of that.
The city park.
So I'm bragging, but our historic Bowling Green City Park there, where we have the wonderful water park there, element part of it, the new pool. It's now closed of course, for the season, but it had another good season, a good run there. But we were able to take 3 really non-functioning, poorly defined buildings, knock them down, and we've got one new building that's 3 times the size of the other. It's going to be able to, again, do much like the senior center, accommodate a different kind of group, all kinds of needs in the community there, and for special meetings and seminars and events. And the nice thing about it is, and I feel very strongly about this, we were able to, thanks to council, we were able to retain the name Veterans. It's the Veterans.
In honor of the veterans.
In honor of the veterans there.
Wonderful.
So that's what you're going to see. We're not going to be slapping someone's name up there or whatever and saying who's the highest bidder, but no, to honor our veterans because they're, a year ago we opened, thanks to again a lot of people, especially the folks in Public Works and the American Legion folks, we redid that whole Veterans Memorial, the flag face there as you enter the park.
Okay.
And so this is going to lead right into a wonderful parking area. We're going to triple the size of cars that we'll be able to accommodate. This wonderful new building that will meet all kinds of community and regional needs and so forth, but it will have the name Veterans. It's the Veterans Building there on it. So I'm very pleased that council concurred and really took initiative, and one of our council members in particular really pushed hard. He's a very distinguished veteran, 2 tours in Iraq.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, you add all this up, Jackie, I'm looking at you. This is a lot of things going on in a smaller sized community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all under your watch, Mayor Edwards, too. We appreciate all that.
Well, thank you. But again, it's a lot of folks coming together and making it all happen. And
I want to ask you about another thing. We always talk about quality of life. I've finally been able to put my finger on what quality of life is. Being able to walk the community, walking a dog, which there's zillions of people out walking dogs, and being able to walk your neighborhood to go get an ice cream cone like the Sunday station.
Not far from where you live.
It's become the hub of the whole end of town where we live, the Sunday station, all through the summer months.
Right.
How lucky are we compared to a lot of communities where you have these drive-by shootings and violence and everything, to be able to do that? We don't ever want to lose that, do we?
No, we don't, and that's why I really applaud the work of our police, law enforcement, and how they work with the university law enforcement community out there. Because I remember times when I was at the university many years ago that there wasn't that really close working relationship between the city police and the university police. they work absolutely in beautiful fashion together, and as a city, we've invested heavily in training. I can't emphasize that enough. And we're only one of 5 cities in the whole state of Ohio that have a nationally accredited police and fire division.
And senior center too.
Well, that's true. But I have to worry most immediately about the police and
Correct.
fire.
The first one in
And-
Ohio.
Yeah, it's a heavy investment, but it's well worth it. And we've had outstanding chiefs, and of course the professionalism that really comes through loud and clear. And I'm very, very grateful to all those folks.
Now,
that
we
make
aren't
it
up
happen.
usually late at night on Fridays or Saturdays, but is there a lot of activity that the police have to be on the lookout for in the
Well,
downtown and
Of
things
course,
like that?
yeah,
Okay.
especially when we start up a new academic year, if I
Okay.
could put it that way. A week or so ago, our folks were tested a few times
Yeah.
there. But all things considered, when you talk with them, it hasn't been that bad. It's the underage drinking,
Yeah.
and people coming in from other towns. That's
Yeah,
more of a
that's
problem
more of a problem,
than our
yeah.
own university students
Sure.
here and so forth. Folks coming in because, as
Coming in.
I
because-
mentioned the mayor of Carmel, Indiana, who's really a good guy, but he went to law school down in Ohio Northern. And so I told him, I said, I'm the mayor of Bowling Green. He said, I know Bowling Green because we used to come up there and have for ice cream, ho ho ho, because Ada was a dry town,
Yeah.
of course, years ago. So we are a little bit of a mecca for folks coming in and wanting to have a good time and that. But we work with the bar owners. We have special training sessions thanks to our police chief, Tony Hetrick, and others are constantly, and we're also through our fire division too, trying to, in a very proper professional way, trying to encourage owners of buildings to take care of them so they don't become fire traps too, because that's a major concern, especially in communities like Bowling Green.
Yeah, I want to ask you about another situation too. Council got, in my opinion, bogged down in this plastic bag thing. What was it?
Bogged down is not the word.
What was the end result of that? I contacted a couple of them. I said, "Come on, folks."
The end result is it's been tabled.
Okay.
And because at least the majority members of council felt that there's some issues percolating in their state legislature,
Okay.
and that would, because there's such an uneven pattern across the state, and it's causing a lot of problems because one community has a ban, another community does not, and so it's making it very difficult for large-scale businesses to operate and to plan. And so they decided to put it on hold to see what the legislature might do, because it make local decisions null and void. And you know, I have to tell you, I'm not a fan of plastic bags. We've used cloth bags and paper and so forth. They are a problem, but sometimes I like to think maybe the government doesn't have to be dictating this, but let's have people do it on their own because they're concerned about the
Sure,
environment,
sure.
and we just have to, because we see the downside of it constantly. And Bowling Green is again, I'm probably getting into mayor speak here, but is one of the most sustainable, energy sustainable cities in the whole state of Ohio. We're
Right.
about 40% renewable energy right now. We have the largest solar field. We were the first to have the wind turbines. And
With
Bowling
hydro,
Green,
with hydro,
we
on
realized,
Ohio River,
oh,
what was going on
huge,
on that?
huge reliance on hydroelectric power from the Ohio River. And so, yes, there is a heightened awareness in this community, and I know that people feel, they're very sincere about this, but one of our mutual good friends, Jerry Anderson, had me on his program, and he was waving a plastic bag around and so forth. Said, oh, what? I said, okay, Jerry, I get the point. You know, yes, because a lot of people say, doesn't council have something more important to do? And that could probably be argued a variety of ways, but it does reflect a concern for the greater environment.
A bigger problem that I think we have is the way people handle their trash in the trash receptacles. Then we get a windy day and they blow over and you got plastic bottles and everything.
Well, that's,
we bag our trash, and so it's in
Yeah.
our trash containers, but it's secure.
that is a big problem, because
Yeah.
every now and then people will dump garbage in their you know, in their bins for recycling.
Recycling.
Yeah.
Recycle bins there. And of course, you know, again, I have to say that Bowling Green is an amazing community because you can go from sidewalk recycling to Phoenix Technologies out here where they take the plastic, melt it down, reprocess it and so
Right.
forth. Then it goes to Northeastern Container Company where they do 3.5 billion plastic bottles a year for Coca-Cola, or if they're not the plastic bottles, then it's the preform there. So it's and I didn't use this statistic at all, but the folks that know from the industry say, yeah, Bowling Green's one of the very few places on the planet that you can go from sidewalk recycling all the way through the whole process there. And so we're doing quite a job with plastic. Glass has become a problem, and trying to find markets for it and some other things as well. And one of the biggest things that's hurting a lot of recycling efforts in terms of how you make your money is the demise of the whole newspaper industry. Because when we were all growing up,
Unbelievable.
newspapers were everywhere. And I grew up in one, a small town daily newspaper. So now we have fewer papers and so forth, and smaller papers and what have you. So
It's been a wonderful 8 years.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you. We've all gotten older.
You've always been
we've all grown.
You've always been so thoughtful, and
We've had some great guests and some great times here
well,
at
and
the Black Swamp Arts
you've
Festival.
also linked me up with some folks up in Toledo there, like our former mayor up there, Mike Bell. I keep bumping into Mike. I saw him recently. We had a lot of fun together at the National Tractor Pull. Again, with 30,000 people coming in for a weekend, and amazing. And Mike, he loves to come there and just be one of the regulars out there with holes in his pants. He said, I said, the first time you encouraged me to walk around and show him the downtown area for the Black Swamp Arts Festival, I said, I thought I was walking around downtown Bowling Green with a rock star.
Well,
So,
we'll have to get Wade down here. Wade's no less
Wade's
a rock
a good,
star
he's,
than Mike Bell is.
he's a wonderful guy, and we're working very closely with Wade, and I admire what he's doing. And
Well, all our best to
it's
you
a
and
tough-
Nadine here.
thank you so very much.
I think this could be your final job, isn't it?
No,
anything
I
else in
don't.
mind?
And Nadine, I've never seen her swing a ball bat, but she might take it to
I
my
was
hand.
going
if I-
to say, yes.
Okay, that'll do it for Mayor Edwards. It's
Hey,
Rick
thank
and
you.
Jackie. Come down for the Black Swamp
Thank
Arts
you.
Festival today. We'll be back
Yes,
with
please.
more.
I look forward to
Yeah.
seeing you, walking
Mayor
about.
Edwards will be here. We're going to talk to about entertainment here in hour number 2, and that'll do it for Rick and Jackie here on Affirm Foundation for Life in hour number 1, 1370 WSPD 929 FM. Thank you, Mayor, and it's been a wonderful 8 years.
Yes.
Jackie, just real quickly before the news comes up, last night we were down here for the Black Swamp Arts Festival, and the crowd was raucous, and the music was just great, wasn't
Oh my
it?
gosh.
Samantha Fish. And,
Never heard of her, but she's phenomenal.
a one-man band, but she had a large group of musicians supporting her.
Brass,
Yeah, but she
you
was
know.
terrific.
Yeah.
So come on out today. The music starts at noon today. In hour number 2, Cole Christiansen is going to be here with us. He's standing by, and we're going to get into the entertainment in depth. So a lot coming up here on Affirm Foundation for Life. Rick and Jackie, the Black Swamp Arts Festival, 27th. I need to correct the mayor. He's gone now, but it's the 27th Black Swamp Arts Festival. The weather looks like it's going to be great today. It was a wonderful night last night, and it's Rick and Jackie here at the Black Swamp Arts Festival in our 2-hour format again. It's going to be forever into the future, 2 hours, and so that's just hour number 1. We've got a whole second hour here on Affirm Foundation for Life.
Stay
with
tuned.
Rick and Jackie, Northwest Iowa's most trusted hosts, 1370 WSPD, 92.9 FM, coming up the 9 o'clock news.
This is News Radio 13.
And thanks for joining us again. Second hour of Affirm Foundation for Life. We're talking with Cole Christiansen this hour. And this is the 27th Black Swamp Arts Festival.
I think the mayor forgot one here, so we'll make sure
That's okay.
get it right here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's over 25. That's all we're. That's a good term there.
On a perfect Saturday
Absolutely.
in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, Cole. Good to see you again this year.
Great to see you guys every year.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for, I used to talk to you out on the street.
Yeah.
and,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
it's nice to continue the tradition of getting back together.
Yeah. Well, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself as we get into this. First of all, how did you get into the Black Swamp Arts Festival?
Yeah, I just had some interest in music and getting involved in some community things, and I had some friends that were involved in the performing arts, and I ended up doing the community stage, which used to be called the Huntington Bank stage.
Right.
And then Huntington Bank moved, and then it was the courtyard, and then we just changed it to the community stage. And I used to run that for years, and it was really, really enjoyable. And got to do a lot of different things related to that, and had the opportunity to take over performing arts and co-chair that with my good friend Tim Concannon, and we've both been doing this our 4th year this year. So I guess I've been involved with the festival for 10, 12, 14 years, something like that.
And let's stress
Time flies.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Let's stress the fact that you're a volunteer too.
That's right. 100% volunteers. We all are, and we take a lot of pride in being a volunteer-run organization.
Have you
Yeah.
grown up in Bowling Green?
Yeah, I'm from Bowling Green. I went to college elsewhere and lived in Florida for a short while, and ended up back here, and I've been here since I guess probably 2005. So,
Okay.
but we recently moved just slightly out of town, but we still consider ourselves
Sure.
living in Bowling Green. So
You're alive.
that's right.
How much time do you put into this volunteer?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a year-round thing.
Sure it is.
You know, we'll end this one and we'll move on to the next one for 2020, and you know, we'll just start to kind of keep an ear to the ground for different opportunities with musical acts. And
Do they seek you out, or do you seek them out, or where does
it's
that
a little of
balance
both.
come in?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
little of both. So we have relationships with some of the agencies and booking agencies, and you know, they have bands in their roster, and they'll send out recommendations and acts that they think would be a good fit, or that are potentially coming through town or in the region.
Sure.
So you get to go visit, throughout the year to hear what a band sounds like?
Well, we definitely can. I don't get to do that as much as I'd like, actually, but yeah.
Is Tim?
Yeah, well, he probably goes to see a few more shows than I do,
Okay.
and then, but yeah, if we have an opportunity to listen to a band and go see them, we definitely will. But you know, with the age we live in with the internet, there's a lot of
Sure.
opportunities to just go on their websites and go to YouTube and get a feel for
That's
what it's
true.
like. And
Yeah.
I don't ever watch a music video from a band. I always go to their live show, and I want to get a sense for, you know, what it's like with the crowd, you know, how they perform, you know, what
All that
different types of-
interactions.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, you know, even if bands don't necessarily put their own recordings up, there's a lot of people who put recordings they do up, and
Sure.
it's very helpful to get a feel for everything. So we have, you know, these relationships with the agents, and then there's different acts that we stumble upon and try to make it work out, which is a little bit of a mix of
Have we ever
everything.
had anybody twice?
Yeah, absolutely. We have
Okay.
several acts back this year. Of course, last year we had a little bit of rain.
Sure, yeah.
So we wanted a chance to bring a few acts back from last year. Normally we'd bring 1 or 2. This year we have a few more than that. You know, last year on Sunday we kind of weren't able to do our outdoor stage, and so we brought back Samantha Fish, and you know, she performed on Friday night, and people really loved her. Great show.
I remember her.
Yeah, and just high energy, and Shiny Ribs will be tonight, closing things out on Saturday. And he did get to play last year, but it was pretty wet. There was a small
Remember
That was,
loyal
a,
crowd.
that was a neat way of the community coming together and opening venues for them to perform.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've, you know, the whole festival started as a way for the downtown businesses to, you know, have something that could really promote the downtown, and we've seen the growth of that in Bowling Green with Firefly Nights and other
Yeah.
activities going on. But you know, that's why it was started, and it was started by, you know, a good group of downtown business owners, several of whom are still involved. So that's a big part of it, and it's great that people were willing to make adjustments to their day.
Sure.
They count on this event, and you know, it's important for us to keep it downtown and have the businesses be busy, and
No
bring
question.
people from out of town to get to see what a great town we
No
live in.
question they made the right call last year. No
Yeah,
question.
yeah, it was definitely very wet, but every band got to play in some way, shape, or form, which we were proud of.
Yeah, in your mind, as you sit back and think about festivals and entertainment and all that, what are the ingredients in a good festival in your mind? Cole
Yeah.
Christiansen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the only one I've been involved in, but just
Yeah.
my own observation would be having a good mix of, from a music standpoint, a good mix of genres and types of performers, which we always try to be eclectic of sorts.
Sure.
Not way off the grid, but you know, if you come, there's a lot of different types of music to see. I know there are festivals that kind of sit in one genre: a blues festival,
Yeah,
a jazz
right,
festival,
yeah.
a bluegrass festival, and that's what you have the whole time, and people love that, and that's great. But for me, I think it's most appealing when you can get to see different things that you aren't sure you would like. So that's a big part of it. I think having a dedicated base of people that, you know, don't necessarily, they're not in it for financial gain, they're not in it.
Volunteers. sure,
Yeah, we're
certainly.
not bringing in a huge corporate sponsor that, you know, the next year is not here anymore, and now we're stuck with nothing. It's the sustainability of the event to do it every year, and it's the community involvement. I mean, this thing runs not just with our core committee, but all the hundreds of volunteers who help out all weekend, and the generous donors around the community, the businesses in the community who donate money, and the region, even people who come back every year and count on this thing. And I think it's just having a well-run event with different types of things. I think also the balance we have with our performing arts, and then on a top end fine arts show
Yes.
that people really like, that also offers art for different budgets. It's not all super high end, and it's not all just trinkets and crafty things.
You
There's
have
a
to
big
stop
mix.
and remind yourself that art is music.
Right.
It's hearing, it's seeing,
That's
and
right.
it's participating.
Absolutely, and they get to do all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have our youth arts. That's another great benefit. There's a lot of activities down there for children all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and families to participate in crafts. And I forget exactly what they have, and they have tie-dye shirts, and they have
They've got everything.
all types of art
Woodworking,
things.
all kinds of things.
Now, the music down there, do you participate in selecting that?
Yes,
as well?
yeah, we do all three
Because
stages.
It is awesome.
Yeah, and we try to find
Oh
acts
my
that
gosh.
are.
Sometimes we enjoy that as much
Yeah.
as they
That's
don't
right.
miss
Yeah.
it.
Well, you're a little closer.
Yeah.
It's a little more intimate.
And the participation
Well,
with
watching the
kids.
kids
That's
go
right.
through the
Oh
hand
my
signals.
gosh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we do that, and we try to have bands that will work well down there.
Yes.
Also a big part of what we do is have bands play a couple sets. So they'll play on the main stage and down there, or the main stage and the community stage, or in some cases
So
we
you
have
move
bands.
them around like
Yeah,
that. I
a couple
like
chances to see
Yeah.
them, and sometimes it's a completely different thing when they're in a smaller, more intimate setting.
This would be a good place to stress to our listeners if they have grandkids,
Yes.
little, 5, 6, 4, how good this is, or their own kids. This is a family event. It's free, and beyond that,
And the kids can take
Yeah.
away from the performance
yeah.
because they can be kids.
and beyond that, they're creating a memory,
Absolutely.
a summer memory that the kids will look forward to year after year after year.
Mommy, I want to go
Yeah.
see Grandma and Grandpa to that thing that they
Right,
had
right.
last
Yeah,
year.
even when they
Yes.
grow up and become adults, they want to come
Absolutely.
back for that. Have you thought much about the impact that you make for years on some of these young people?
Well, it's great you mentioned that, because we have people who say, hey, I've been going to Black Swan my whole life, and was
Yeah.
a kid.
Yeah.
I think there was an article in the Sentinel a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, about volunteers, and
Mhm.
it featured a local family who's, since little kids they've been volunteers, and now they're adults, and they come back and continue to volunteer, and that's a
Bring their
great
own
thing.
kids.
Yeah, that's a great thing, to be able to share that. And in addition to the youth arts, the teen engagement's been an important part. So we have our chalk walk, goes on Saturday.
That's right.
And we have a new thing this year called Beats on the Street, which will feature a cappella singing from some of the area high school groups. Something a little different. So we'll have both the chalk walk art and then the music performance, and we
I
expect
miss
that to
seeing
grow.
them in your schedule.
Yeah, that's a newer thing this year. They wanted to build on the momentum. The chalk walk's gotten very big with the high school teams, art teams competing in chalk drawings on the ground, and there's a
Yeah.
professional artist who comes,
You usually have
does
that.
it, and he judges it.
We walked by that.
It's over by the post office,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
and
walked
the
by that on the way
H2O
over.
church,
Mhm.
and the dentist office there on whatever street the post office is on. I
Yeah.
always forget.
Washington.
Washington and Maine, right there, and they're really into it.
Yeah.
And there's a prize for winning,
I've
and
seen all that.
there's very competitive, and that money goes back.
Is there a
to
theme
the
for
high
that
school.
this year?
I can't remember if there's an exact theme, but I'll double check the website here. I can't remember. I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna do
bring
something.
that up, too.
You're listening to Rick and Jackie this morning. Of course, Cole Christiansen's here. The Black Swamp Arts Festival is happening right now as you're listening to us on the air. And Cole, of course, is the entertainment director. He he lines up all the performers. And we're going to get into the specifics of that after we take a break here. But we've been talking about, and I want to stress this, Cole, because this has been a big improvement. The parking lot where you have most of this entertainment, just off behind Main Street back in there, they've improved that a lot. They've taken out those parking blocks and things like that. You haven't recorded any of this?
It's recording on this mic.
Wow. Okay, well, go ahead, plug it back in. We're gonna have to cut this out.
Maybe, maybe not.
Okay, the parking lot, the big improvements back there. Talk about that if you would.
Yeah, a couple years ago, the city made an investment in kind of removing some of the parking meters, and then when you take the meters out, you can get the bumpers out,
Yeah.
and they repaved it, and it's just really opened up that space, and it made it a lot nicer and a lot easier.
Sure, yeah, the
that was
bumpers were a hazard.
yeah,
for
well,
them.
right, and
Yeah.
you had to kind of work around those, and so it's great partnership with the city as always of Bowling Green to.
And
to
they've
pull
really
this
improved the
off.
landscaping around there now.
Yeah,
too.
we used to have a bridge that you had to go over to connect one lot to the next, and now that's a smooth concrete walkway, and it looks very nice back there. It's well maintained. It's funny that I remember in past years bands would come and they maybe would be there on Sunday, and then they would maybe stop back later in the evening, and they couldn't believe we take down the festival that was a parking lot, because you sort of forget you're in a parking lot, because it really comes alive, and you have all the food vendors and people are out doing out and about, and it's just people everywhere, and that's not the normal parking lot experience downtown. So.
Before we take a break, give the times, the specific times, and the shuttle arrangements, and how all that's going to
Before
work.
he even does that, why don't you give the website, please?
Yeah, it's blackswampfest.org. So BlackSwampFest.org. If you type in Black Swamp Arts Festival, Bowling Green, it'll come up.
Sure,
easy to get there. Brand new website. We just put it up this year, and we're really excited about it. Very mobile friendly, so you can navigate it easily on your phone if you use a smartphone, which most people do these days. I don't know how many options there are that are not smartphones.
Exactly.
But lots of great information on there if you're interested in understanding more about the schedules, both for the art and the music and everything else going on, and all those details are on there. So if you're listening and you're not sure, check it out, blackswampfest.org, and on Facebook and Instagram. Pretty active on there, keeping up with what's going on.
And we want people in Toledo, Maumee, Perrysburg, Oregon, wherever they're listening
North
to us.
Baltimore, Signet,
To take
Jerry City, all of these places.
to take a day and come here either Saturday or Sunday,
Yes.
today or tomorrow, and enjoy this Black Swamp Arts Festival.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised how many people we talk to around Toledo have never come down for that, and how easy they've
You
made.
know what? I hate to do this, but because I think so highly of what we have here in Bowling Green with the Black Swamp Arts Festival, I compare it with the Crosby Festival of the Arts.
Mhm.
I think they are both super.
They're different.
They're different, but they have some of the same qualities, and they are above and beyond. Blow me away.
The setting
I
makes
love
a
'em,
difference
yes.
too. You know, it's real easy this year now. People can. The Meyer store is still going to be a shuttle location.
Yeah, we have shuttles running all day today, 10 a.m. until midnight, and then tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It goes every half hour. There's 3 locations. The Meyer parking lot, so right off I-75.
181 exit of I-75.
That's right. Yep, over in the Wood County Fairgrounds.
Yes.
If you're coming up
On
25, yeah, that's right.
Down 25.
Yep.
Poe Road
yeah,
over there.
Yeah, yep. And if you use the Poe Road, the entrance off Poe Road to access the shuttle, and then BGSU Lot 24, which is the Stroh Center, southeast corner of the lot.
Oh, that's easy too.
Yeah, and that shuttle runs and it goes over in front of the Bowling Green Police Department, and that's also then where it picks up. It's a very, very reasonable $2 donation, which goes to the business that actually runs that shuttle for us. Super convenient, and I believe children under a certain age, I'll have to double check, get to ride for free. So,
So if
take
you don't-
advantage,
yeah,
because
if you don't
parking's
know-
tough.
Yeah, if you don't know your way around Bowling Green, this is the best way to do it. Let's take a break here. It's Rick and Jackie, Northwest Iowa's most trusted hosts. Black Swamp Arts Festival this weekend, started last night, but actually continuing today at 11 a.m. I think they start on the big stage.
Yeah, we start at noon on the main
Okay.
stage, but our community stage starts at 11 a.m.
Okay.
and the family stage as well, so we'll be
Okay.
up early.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk specifically about the artists, so maybe you have a favorite. Cole Christiansen's here with us this morning. Rick and Jackie, Northwest Iowa's most trusted host on
3,
1370
2,
WSPD
1.
92.9 FM.
And thanks for joining us again. Here we are in the second hour of A Firm Foundation for Life. And we've got Cole Christiansen, who is working with the Black Swamp Arts Festival, getting all that great music, all those performers for us.
I want to mention again,
Yes.
Cole is a volunteer, okay?
Absolutely.
For many, many years.
Yes.
Many years.
Me and everyone else involved in the
Yeah.
in the group and the organization are volunteers.
There isn't any paid staff,
No.
is there?
No,
Yeah, no
it's all
paid staff.
volunteers.
All
Yeah, and then
volunteers.
some have been for since almost the very beginning.
Right.
So.
27 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it takes the dedication and the knowledge to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get into the groups. This may tingle some listeners here that like somebody specifically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last night's passed, but let's talk about today's Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about today's lineup. The main stage, we'll talk a little bit about some of the main stage acts. So
The main stage is
in the parking lot behind Worcester Street, I guess they call it Lot 2,
Yeah.
where you park if you want, like the back side of Samby's, in that lot back there. You
Yeah,
can't
you'll
miss
hear-
it.
you'll hear
You'll
it.
hear it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll know exactly where you're at. And that's where the beer garden is. That's where all the seating is for the main stage. All of our food vendors are over there as well. All different types of food. There's none of the artists are there.
They're
but,
on Main Street.
That's right, artists on Main Street. But yeah, so the main stage kick off at noon here today, and a band called Westbound Situation. And if you're a fan of bluegrass, a fan of jazz, if you're a fan of even classical elements, these are four very talented musicians. Three from the University of Michigan. One of whom is from Bowling Green, Grant Flick, people may be familiar with from past years at Black Swamp. And they play an original mix of eclectic kind of instrumental music. Grant plays violin. He plays the nickel harp, which is like a Swedish instrument.
never heard of it.
Yeah, and then there's a cellist in the band, a banjo player, and a upright bass player. It's a very great band, super talented young guys. They won an award at the University of Michigan for their chamber music competition, and I think they're the first non-classical focused chamber group to win this award.
Oh my gosh, that
yeah.
sounds so unusual.
Yeah, they'll be on the main stage, and if you miss that, you can see them later in the day. They're over on the community stage at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, and they're also on the family stage at 2:45. So we have them busy on Saturday.
Well, three, yeah.
Three stages, yeah.
Now, Flick, would he be what, grandson of Don Flick? Maybe?
Yeah, son. Well, so
He'd be the son of Don Flick?
well, there's Don Flick Sr. Who,
Okay, yeah.
and then
Don
Don Flick Jr.
Don Flick Sr. was my age.
Yeah, Don Flick Jr. and then Grant is Don Flick Jr.'s son.
Okay, so he's
So-
the grandson of.
Yeah, and
Don
he's
Flick,
he's up at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
And I actually used to play music with him a little bit in Bowling Green, and he was so talented back then, and he's only gotten better with the
Oh my
being at the university up there.
Sure, sure.
In the classical music and jazz music program up there. So
Okay.
young guys, but if you like that, all those types of genres, you'll love that. We have a performer coming back. She played, I want to say maybe like 8 years ago, and she also played on the community stage maybe like 6 years ago. Diana Chitsetter, the Diana Chitsetter Band. She's from the Cleveland area. A really interesting original musician, singer-songwriter, and she has a cellist in her band, a drummer, I think a bass player as well. Kind of an interesting mix of pop and rock, and she does a lot of percussive things with her hand on the guitar in addition to performing. So she'll be with her band at 1:30,
Okay.
and then she's going to be playing a solo performance on the community stage a little bit later in the day at 3:45, and then she's actually going to be over at the Stone's Throw restaurant at 11:30 p.m. doing a late night set as part of some of our after hours
Okay,
things
yeah.
we do in downtown. So 3 chances to see her, and one with the full band, and then 2 on her own. And they're huge fans of the festival, and they love, and it's so great to have the enthusiasm from other performers who've been here
Yes.
before, who want to come back and perform again. So 1:30 on the main stage. Followed up at 3 o'clock. Really excited about this band, Toko Tello. 3 musicians from Madagascar. I think this is their first U.S. tour, at least as a band. We're not the first stop, but we're one of the early stops of this tour. And they kind of embody traditional Madagascarian music. And 2 guitarists and a vocalist, and they're all very, very talented in their own rights. And they came together maybe 3 years ago and did an album, and have had a couple albums since. So they're going to be on at 3 o'clock at the main stage.
Our church did a trip to Madagascar, a missionary
Yes,
trip.
yes.
So we know where that is. We didn't go, but we know where that is.
Yeah.
A lot of people may not.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Janine and let her know.
Yeah, they'll be at, and if you can't make it at 3 o'clock, they're on the family stage at 12:15, a little earlier. So they're going to play their first
That'd be
performance
interesting.
over
We'll
there.
check that one out.
Yeah, one of the guitar players, his name is DeGary. It's like D''Gary, and he became really well known as a guitarist, an African musician in the late 80s, early 90s, and was sort of groundbreaking in what he was doing. And Just awesome talent, and we're really proud of those types of musicians
Yes,
bringing
I can see that.
world music
Yeah.
flavor to the Bowling Green
You know,
area.
what I'm hearing from you, Cole Christiansen, is what a unique experience it can be just to be there, to hear these folks.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something I always enjoyed a lot.
It's not a rock concert or blasting music. Or,
Yeah, that's right.
This is-
Yeah,
It's a teaching moment.
This is real talent.
yeah, that's right. Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, there's opportunities to see that kind of stuff at the university and BG. People, you know, if you get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
But this weekend you can walk right on the street. There it is, and you don't have to have a ticket. And you
Sure.
don't have to sit
And
down.
you reach
can
out
sit down.
you reach out and touch somebody.
That's right.
You're that close
You're
to
very
the
close.
talent.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So 3 o'clock. They're going to be followed up by a band from San Francisco called Royal Jelly Jive. Very interesting band name. I don't know exactly what it means. I would call them like a mix of soul, jazz, and cabaret a little bit. The lead singer has a very interesting voice and a stage presence, and horns, trumpet, saxophone, and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
A little bit of a larger band. I think they have 6 or 7 people in the band. But if you're a fan of kind of like a jazzy, bluesy, funky sound with a really strong lead singer, vocalist, you know, you really like that. You may really like this band, and they'll also be on the family stage at 1:30.
You may not want them on the family stage. San Francisco, they could be anything, couldn't they?
Well, no, I think that it'll be totally appropriate for sure.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, it'll be just fun music for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
At 6:15, for what we sometimes call the dinner show on the main stage, bringing back a band from last year that played on Friday, 2 Tons of Steel. They're a honky tonk band, honky tonk / country / even rock and roll. Super high energy band, San Antonio, Texas. They'll also be on the family stage closing things out at 4 o'clock. So just a lot of fun. If you like country style, if you like honky tonk style, the lead singer is a real presence, and he brings a lot of energy. We have 3 acts actually from Texas Saturday tonight. Wasn't planned that way, just sort of happened. So we'll have 2 Tons of Steel. Really excited about that. And then we'll have a band called the Band of Heathens. They're from Austin, Texas. Rock and roll, beautiful harmonies and vocals at 8 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, we're bringing back Shiny Ribs, who got to perform in the rain last year. He is a character, an incredible stage presence, a little bit almost like vaudeville, and then R&B and soul and jazz and blues. He's got a big band, 8 people on the stage.
Wow.
Horns and everything. They have 2 really talented female vocalists who sing along with him, and he's sort of just fun.
Yeah.
And last year he did the Black Swamp Arts Festival first ever conga line, where he was out in the crowd leading a conga line of people in the rain.
Yes.
And for the dedicated people who sat in the rain, it
We did
was
till
so
about
exciting.
Until about 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So he'll be out at 10 o'clock, and we go until about 11:30-ish.
We had umbrellas, but we were thoroughly soaked by then.
Well, we're not gonna have to worry about that this year.
No,
We're gonna have
it's
beautiful
gonna be
weather.
beautiful tonight.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. So, yeah. So that's today, and I mentioned the community stage. There's a couple other acts, a couple local groups. We have a theater showcase at 11 a.m. So we have 3 theater organizations that we're going to be doing 15-minute segments of some of their
Vignettes or-
performance.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Black Swan Players.
Oh.
And a couple other groups that will be doing some things over there, something a little different.
Yeah.
A cappella group called Inside Voices, they'll be at noon, and then some of the other main stage acts as I mentioned. So lots of different chances to see different acts.
And folks, this is happening today and tomorrow, the Black Swamp Arts Festival in downtown Bowling Green. You're listening to Cole Christiansen, who has brought all these groups to Bowling Green, and it's all free of charge. So come on down. There's beer garden, as you mentioned, and plenty of art. And they close up at 5, don't they? The artists
Yeah,
at 6.
I think if it's nice and people are out, they may go till around 6. The family stage
Then
ends
the
around
music
5.
then the music continues on.
And the community stage goes until about 6.
But
And
the
then
food is ongoing.
Yeah, the food's all day, and
Hello.
they'll even be there after the music if there's
Yep.
people still wanting to buy things. So
And they still have food left.
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
We've got
Steak
a couple
tips.
minutes here before we run out of time. It's a Sunday rundown, or we give
Yeah, let me give a quick Sunday
Yeah,
rundown.
okay.
We started at 11 o'clock. A local band called Moths in the Attic. They've been up and coming band here in Bowling Green. 12:30, a blues, kind of blues soul vocalist Johnny Rawls. 2 o'clock, a bluegrass band called Old Salt Union from St. Louis, Missouri. Sorry. And we're going to close things out with a band that we really, really excited about. They got to perform last year, albeit inside. Nikki D and the Browns from Toledo, Ohio. Sacred Steel Gospel Band.
I heard
It's so incredible.
awesome
Yeah,
things
so
about
incredible. 3:30. Come to that one. Do not miss
Yes.
it. It is so high energy. A family band, and they are the nicest people you ever meet in your life.
Did you
and,
move them into Howard's last
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first gospel band to ever perform in Howard's Club H, and it was just a great experience.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
unexpected and lots of fun. So if you can't make it today, come tomorrow. If you can't make it tomorrow, come today. Come both days
Yeah.
at any time, and there's always something for somebody. In addition, the art, we have the fine arts, and we have the youth arts and the teen engagement, and something for everybody.
Yes. Let's recap, Jackie. Shuttles from Myers on the east, 181 exit,
Bowling Green, the
Fairgrounds.
Stroh Center
Yeah, Stroh Center.
Stroh Center.
over there as well,
That's right.
and the fairgrounds off Poe.
So you can get off the 181, go either way.
Correct.
Yeah,
Up
that's
towards
right.
town.
Yep, runs every half hour, and it's just a $2
$2
donation.
donation.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and if you don't know your way around Bowling Green, that's really the way to do it. You know.
Don't try to get
Yeah.
in on any of
Yeah.
the side streets
Yeah.
and block things up
Yeah.
because
Because things are still under construction
Yes.
on a few of these side streets. We touched on that, but the festival area will be cleared off and no problem. But there may be some parking issues on a few
this
of
way
the
your
side
car
streets.
is safe
Mhm.
in a lot instead of being towed away because you parked in the wrong spot.
That's right.
Yeah, now, I want to go back before we run out of time. You mentioned that one gal's going to move over to Stone's Throw at 11:30 on Saturday night, so
Mhm.
people can take on this, into the night a little bit too. They don't have to go home at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. Music on the main stage goes to 11:30, but then there's happenings downtown. Nicky D and the Browns will actually be back at Howard's on Saturday night.
Oh,
So they're gonna play Saturday night at 11:30, and then play
Tonight.
2 sets on Sunday. That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we're
We're going tonight there.
it'll be a late night show,
Yeah.
but all day, all night, and we go until 5 o'clock on Sunday tomorrow.
Yeah.
So beautiful weather. We're so excited. BlackSwampFest.org is the website. If all the information's on there about the shuttle, the maps, the hours, the artists, the food, and the bands.
Well, we appreciate you taking time this
Oh,
morning to come over and
Thank
talk
you
to
for
us.
having me. It's a
I
pleasure.
want to see if he still has this kind of energy tonight.
Yeah, we caught you last year in the rain, and all huddled up. But it's been a great run.
Yes.
I've been at every festival, like you mentioned, some people, and we've helped out at a few of them when we've been asked,
Yes,
and
we
it's
have.
been fun, and it's something the community's really become known by. And we again want to extend the invitation to everybody listening to us, especially our Toledo friends in Maumee and Perrysburg. If you've never come to Bowling Green for this, make this your weekend. The weather's going to be perfect. And that's that for Rick and Jackie, Northwest Iowa's most trusted host, Cole Christiansen, with us this morning. And of course, thanks to the mayor, they're being with us in hour number 1, talking about
Yes.
more of the political things, issues, and stuff in Bowling Green. And we'll be back with more on Firm Foundation for Life at 1370 WSPD and 929 FM.
Now back to hour 2 of A Firm Foundation for Life with Northwest Ohio's most trusted hosts, Rick and Jackie.
I've got a lot of living to do.
And welcome back to A Firm Foundation for Life with Rick and Jackie. And we are just loving the stuff down here at the Black Swamp Arts Festival this
We're
year.
just off the main drag here,
Yes.
connected with Steve up there in Toledo. He's doing a great job. Again, this program this morning dedicated into the memory of our good
Yes.
friend Jim Summers, who passed away
Absolutely.
yesterday at about
afternoon.
3:45. And he was a big supporter of the program, and we were close friends. And he was the educator of the year in the United States as the boating educator for the Toledo Power Squadron. May his memory be eternal.
Yep.
Well, as you mentioned, the Black Swamp Arts Festival, the music starts here at 10 o'clock. And we'll talk about a few other things here on the program, Jackie, while we've got some time.
Absolutely.
One of the nice advantages of having a 2-hour program again is we can talk to you, the listeners, about a variety of things, and hopefully bring you information will give you a firm foundation for life. Well, we'll start with some construction news. The house that I've got under construction right now, which may be our last, we don't know what
I certainly
opportunities will
hope
come our
so.
way. It's very challenging to find workers. And this idea of workers, I just want to take that to the next step. It's not only locally, it's across the country. So we order something from a manufacturer like the cabinets, and they have trouble getting workers for their factory. And so the cabinets maybe that you used to get in 2 weeks, or the windows you used to get in 3 weeks, maybe they take now 4 weeks because
Right.
they have people that don't show up and people that are unreliable. And so this is, you go out to the lumber yard there to get some things, and there's nobody there in the yard. They don't have 3 or 4 people to wait on you. They have one, and he's trying to wait on 3 or 4 different people. So we're seeing this in just about every business across the country, as far as the shortage of workers and competent people to fill all these positions. But anyway, back to the house. We reached a big milestone this week.
Yeah.
The yard is all seeded. We had that done on Wednesday with the help of Ed and myself, and getting all the seed down. We just put down 100 pounds of grass seed, 26 bales of straw, and I started watering right away. It looked like it was going to rain, and then we didn't get any rain, so I started watering the lawn.
And then the deer.
Yeah, and then the deer came in the next day when everything was just kind of sloppy on top from the water, and I've got deer tracks all through the front yard there. But you've got a nice picture on Facebook.
Yeah.
Rick and Jackie, or no, it's a Firm Foundation for Life. Go
Right.
to your Facebook page and type in a Firm Foundation for Life, and you can check out those pictures. As far as the inside, M&R Construction's been working away.
And you can see his workshop
Yes, you
there
can see his
in
work.
the great room.
He's he had a couple days off. Of course, we had a holiday week, so it was a short week. But most of the trim's in. We're waiting on the kitchen cabinets, which we're supposed to have midweek, so we'll get them in. And carpet, I think we got scheduled for October 12th. 14th, right around there. They're going to be here next week, putting the ceramic tile heated floor in the bathroom.
Yes.
And so we've got that in another house, and people just love it. You have a thermostat on the wall, and you can
set it.
Yeah, you can set it for a certain time.
Yeah.
Maybe you get up at
Time it.
6:30, so you set it for 6 o'clock, and you go in, and the bathroom floor is all nice and warm. On a winter day, nothing feels any better than
Or
that.
if you have air conditioning on in the house,
Yeah.
too. I know that takes away from the air conditioning, but in the bathroom, when you get out of the shower, you don't want to step onto a cold floor.
Right, with the air conditioning blowing. You're right about that. So, okay, so that's what's going on. Check out our Facebook page. And Jackie will have all these interviews up on Facebook here after
Later
the
this
program. Later
afternoon.
this afternoon
Yeah.
when we get home and get
Well, it
back
takes
to
a while
things.
for them to upload. And
Right.
I've been doing them on YouTube because that's the only method now that I can do the length that we need.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about where we're going here, because we're going a lot of places here in the next 2 months. We've actually, with this 2-hour format, we've actually got things planned just almost for the next 2 months.
Right.
Next week, our senior economist will be back with us, George Zeller.
In another.
Well, we're going to talk about the economy in Ohio. He's a analyst. I stress the word analyst. Nobody can crunch the numbers and draw conclusions better than George Zeller. And he's a 67 distinguished graduate of Salem High School, the Salem Quakers.
And I want to say something about how you found him.
Yeah.
It was an article in the Cleveland Plain Dealer that you were reading. And you picked up the phone and called it.
Called him, and we've been...
And we found that we had some connectivity
we
there.
Rekindled a relationship from years and years ago. But George, we're going to talk a little bit about the economy in Ohio, and we're going to focus on geographically, because as we're seeing this economy that's expanding and growing across the country, in Ohio, it's kind of hit and miss. Columbus, Ohio is just booming.
Right.
Just booming.
And that's the center of the state.
Yeah,
So
and
they're pulling from all
around
avenues.
us. Exactly. We're seeing Cincinnati, Dayton area kind of holding their own. And then we're seeing the perimeter towns around the north stagnant or declining, the Toledo, the Cleveland, the Youngstown.
Right.
And, of course, southeastern Ohio's the same way. So you kind of go around there. And so we're asking ourselves, how do we revitalize these other areas? How do we get them growing again? And that's going to be a big challenge here in the future. But George and I are also going to analyze. We touched on this last year when he was on at this time of the year, but we're really going to get into it this year, because we're right in the mecca of 2 professional football teams that have never been to the Super Bowl, the Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions. And we're 55 years now into the Super Bowl. I'm asking myself, what on earth is wrong with these 2 franchises? And, even some expansion franchises have gotten lucky over that 55 years and put together a combination where they made it to 1 Super Bowl. And the Cleveland Browns have a storied history from the deep past, back in the 60s. 64 was their last championship. And the Lions have a storied history back in the 50s, the Bobby Lane area, Dick Night Train Lane, and that whole group up in Detroit. But what has happened here recently that they can't once in 20 or 30 years, put together a winning football team? So George is going to weigh in on a lot of that and see what we come up with. There's only 4 teams in the National Football League that have never appeared in the Super Bowl, and we've got 2 of them right here in our area. The other 2 are expansion teams, so they don't carry as much weight as these 2 historical franchises, the Browns and the Lions. So that's next week, the 14th. Then the 21st, Hanneman Funeral Homes is going to be here with us.
Right.
And there's a reason for that, because they're putting on a month-long presentation at the Wood County Community on Aging. Jackie's got that out now.
Well, they're actually doing it right now in the Grand Rapids area Senior Center, which is on Kellogg Road, Hosanna Lutheran Church,
Right.
on Tuesdays. But the Wood County in Bowling Green Center, they're going to be doing it on Tuesdays in October from 12:15 to 1:15, and lunch is covered for the first 25 participants registered at the location there. So they just call the center in Bowling Green. But week 1 is, where do I go from here? And this is going to be how death impacts life's daily routine with sometimes overwhelming obligations and stress. And it'll give you a better understanding of why planning ahead for some of the many decisions and events can help reduce that stress. Week 2 is life remembrance options, and this will be almost limitless options that can be considered when planning for a funeral service or life remembrance. And it'll walk the attendees through the process of planning an organized and well thought out event. Week 3 is making a service memorable through personalization. Most events in life are planned in a way to make it special and personal. So
like a wedding,
whether it's a birthday,
Sure,
celebration, wedding, graduation, or many of other life events. And a funeral should be no different. And funeral homes are seeing more and more people who want to have a personal tribute that goes beyond the typical funeral. So that's what this program will look at, the ways to make an end-of-life tribute personal and special. And then finally, the 4th week, cremation, estate planning, and other less thought-of considerations. They'll include such items as estate planning, having a will, Medicaid considerations, VA benefits, Social Security, and other helpful information.
So they'll be on with us on the 21st.
Correct.
And I want to go back to the program that we had on here. Maybe our listeners remember, with Artistic Memorials, Jeff Pettit,
Yes.
about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And we were out in the cemetery at St. Rosa's Cemetery and Fort Meigs Cemetery in Perrysburg. That'll still be on our Facebook
Correct.
page. If you want to scroll back through there, you can see some of that. But how impressive that was for us. We'd never really gone through there in an analytical way,
Right.
and looked at these stones and looked at the stories they told and that sort of thing, and then applied that to our situation and
Correct.
what we may want. And I think it really defined us down to where we want to be and what we want to do as far as a memorial
Well, we need to talk.
for
No.
ourselves. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, because we don't see any point in building one of those big monuments.
No, absolutely not.
And so this really was helpful. And so this is where we're going with this other stuff too. And like you said, it's never too early to start talking about these things, because you don't want to deal with them in a crisis. And yesterday, as we
Absolutely
mentioned with Jim Summers passing, and we were there wasn't any feeling of any crisis, was there?
No.
It was a very peaceful setting. And
They all knew what Jim had expected, because he had taken care of a lot of that himself prior to his situation.
so we had an opportunity to grieve and shed some tears. And I
Absolutely.
think they knew what they were going to do next. So that's a great example. And so that's coming up on the 21st of September. Then the 28th, Kathy Tippenaar is going to join us, and she's from Care Patrol here in Northwestern Ohio, and she's going to talk about some of the things she can help with, which would be, as you age in life, is things you may
Your
want to
next
consider.
step when you're ready to downsize.
Yeah. And, we were talking about that with somebody the other day that was visiting our house. We were showing them our ramp and things like that. Very few homes, hardly any are equipped where you could age in place.
Or have an accessibility.
Without some modifications.
Right.
Especially the bathrooms and a ramp and things like that.
And I think I just had the conversation with somebody not too long ago about building and how things you want to consider for your lifetime if you want to remain in your
Age
house.
in place is the
Correct.
term for that. And so Kathy will be with us on the 28th, rounding out September. Then we jump into October. and it'll be the professor and the pupil, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
My former college professor, Dr. Neil Brown, Professor Emeritus, Bowling Green State University. He's our neighbor now, and he's going to join us, and we've had some great conversations about where we were. We're going to look back 30 or 40 years, events that have happened in the economy, how they've impacted our businesses, our people, and what may lie ahead in the future. And
Okay.
so we'll kind of look in that crystal ball. I'm really looking forward to that. That's October 5th. We have a couple of open dates left in October, but I've already got people on the line here. I'm just waiting to confirm. But at the end of October, we are heading to China.
Yep.
That's the country of China. Jackie and I are going over there. We'll be there about 2 weeks. We're leaving on the 29th, but we'll have a pre-show before we go. But we're already looking at the maps and planning it out. We know when we're going to get there. We leave here on the 29th. We get there on the 30th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's Wednesday. And then we have to have a show ready for Steve for November 2nd. That will be live from Beijing, China. And I already know what kind of things we're going to be doing, and so what we may be presenting at that program. We won't be at the Great Wall till the 2nd. So the next show that we do, which will be from Xi'an, will have some of the things about the Great Wall of China and other historical things. Xi'an, China, which is about 600 miles south and west of Beijing, which is the capital, of course, is the cultural capital. I think it's 6,000 years old, that city. It's really where the heart of China
Correct.
was founded. And so that'll be a lot about that. Why is that important? Why does anybody care about that? Well, China's in the news every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every day China's in the news. But I want to point something out to our listeners. I've been studying a little bit of Chinese history, and I think most people have heard of Mao Zedong, who was the
Mao Zedong.
who was the founder of the People's Republic of China.
Right.
In 1949, actually took it into the communists where they are today. And the United States at that time in 1949 basically said, we aren't going to recognize this government. And there was this kind of a Cold War. It wasn't really a war, but just unrecognizing China. And then Richard Nixon, we remember that because that was in our day. He made a trip to China and restored diplomatic relations. And so that was in the 70s, early 70s. And now look where we are today, relations with China. I mean, everything our manufacturing is coming from China. Everything's made in China, all this discussion about China. And so we're going to really try to enlighten everybody and enlighten ourselves how all this happened in, 35 or 40 years. Essentially went from zero to where we are today. So that's what's ahead here on A Firm Foundation for Life. You've got some more senior news, Jackie, that we want to touch on. Besides the Hanneman situation program coming up, talk about the Throwdown.
We have for those of you who may not have heard about this before, we have the Wood County Throwdown. What's a Throwdown? It's it's an event for all
about
ages.
Food,
it's
Jackie.
about food. And I was trying to find, this is where 5 chefs from area senior centers, assisted living facilities, retirement communities, and long-term care facilities will challenge each other to a 3-course meal known as a Throwdown. This event will take place at Penta Career Center, which is a phenomenal place if you've never been there.
Open to the public.
Correct.
There's a cost.
9301 Buck Road. Now, there's going to be live music. There will be vendors and samples of 4 different appetizers, entrees, and desserts from local chefs who serve older adults in this area. It's a unique opportunity to critique all food samples, and to crown the People's Choice Award for each dish presented. And there will also be local celebrity judges that will announce the Wood County Throwdown Champion of 2019.
Fred was the judge there. I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but he was there one time. We were there that year doing our show. So
right.
maybe.
And last year's champions were for 2018 were Woodhaven Healthcare.
Where my mom is.
Yeah.
They were the champions. How about that?
Oh, and the contestants for this year will be Perrysburg Commons, Woodhaven Healthcare, defending their award there, Heritage Corner Healthcare Campus, and Brookdale of Bowling Green. So, cost for the event is $10 per person, And you can register by calling the WCCOA Programs Department or emailing programs@wccoa.net. So get your friends together. It's a great event. Doors open
11 a.m. I think I saw right here.
over here.
Doors open at 11 a.m.
Okay.
So it's early noon.
Yep.
Okay. Penna Career Center is basically about halfway between Bowling Green and Toledo.
Correct.
So people
On
can,
Buck Road.
Yeah, so people can come down from the north here and not go any further than we have to come up from Bowling Green when we go
Right.
there. So it's a great event. Anything else on the senior that we want to cover here?
Coming up Tuesday, October 1st, Medicare 101. Learn ways to stay informed, stay healthy, and save money.
Absolutely important, essential.
Very
If you're not on Medicare yet and you're only a couple of years away, let me talk personally about this. I took a couple of these classes, and there's some critical decisions you have to make in Medicare that once you make them, the rest of your life's affected because when you go on to Medicare initially, it's open enrollment. There's no there's no pre-existing conditions. You pay the same as everybody else. But if you make a change over the course of your life, then they can rate you, and your rates can go way up.
So this will be Tuesday, October 1st at 1 o'clock p.m. at the Perrysburg Area Senior Center, 140 West Indiana Avenue in Perrysburg, right in the heart of Perrysburg by the fire station.
This isn't something...
And this is an educational presentation on Medicare, so you don't need an RSVP.
And you're not buying anything.
Right.
They're not trying to sell you anything. That's the thing I want to
You learn
point
about
out.
recent changes to Medicare. You find out how the October 15th through December 7th Medicare annual coordinated election period can work for you. Get tips on how to enroll for 2020 coverage in a Medicare prescription plan, drug plan, Part D, and or a Medicare health plan, and see if you qualify to save an average of $3,900 on your prescription drug costs.
No two people are the same.
No.
And,
you and I are different.
Yeah, you and I are different, but that's the first thing I learned when I went to this thing because people started asking questions. And he said, I refuse to answer any questions because they're not going to be applicable to anybody else here. So he said, if you want questions, we'll meet afterwards or we'll set up a meeting and we'll talk specifically. So that's very, very important. If you're in your early 60s, approaching that Medicare age of 65, and I will say that Jackie and I just love Medicare. And speaking of Medicare, let me lead into our next topic.
Okay, go for it.
Dr. Perrone, Salvador Perrone, the urologist, was on this program, back in February or so?
Correct.
A while
Something
back.
like that.
Anyway, and we were talking men's health back then and men's prostate. And he said something on the program that really, really struck a chord with me. He was talking about when he started his career in 1982 of the prostate cancer and things like that in men. The success rate for curing was less than 10%.
Right.
Today it's over 90% in the treatments. And then we got to talking about the other symptoms. And so this week I had a procedure done at Dr. Perrone's recommendation for BPH, which is benign prostate hyperplasia. And they put in this device, it's called a UroLift, and it helps men's symptoms, which they said in this brochure, and I think they're accurate, over 70% of the men over 60 suffer from these kind of symptoms. And so I had this procedure done on Thursday, and I'm just trying to get back to normal.
Right.
It hasn't been unbearable. I went back to work Thursday afternoon. So it was,
with the chauffeur.
Yeah, with the chauffeur because of the anesthetic, but it wasn't unbearable. But things are getting better each day, and I expect by Monday I'll be totally back to normal. So that's the good news. So I want to encourage men to take care of this because...
And the fact of the matter is you want to get it in the early stages because you could be compromising your lifestyle.
Well, more than that, Jackie,
later.
The bottom line is, from Dr. Perrone, is if you don't take care of these symptoms, you'll end up having to use a catheter in your later years for sure.
Right.
Because the bladder, which is where your urine is stored, is a muscle. And if you don't take care of this, the bladder expands. In other words,
it doesn't shrink back.
Yeah, the muscle loses its ability to push. And so it's just there. And you've stretched it, in other words. And so... man, it hit home with me, and I am sure glad. I said, man, I need to see you, and made an appointment, went in, and we've been working together ever since. And he said, I've got just the process for you, and And so I had it, and I'll just keep reporting to you folks here, and that's the purpose of this program. That's part of the calling of a Firm Foundation for Life, keeping you informed. That's where the For Life part of it came in. It used to be a Firm Foundation. We were talking about houses and construction. But we think this is a real calling. We think it's important for all of our listeners. And you're gonna notice a lot of variety on this program of information. And I think in our rundown here, Jackie, of what we talked about, people can see that. And this 2 hours, I just want to thank our show here at the station has taken over for having the foresight to allow us to be able to expand like this and to do this program. So remember, we start at 8 o'clock on Saturdays. There's no Sunday repeat show. It's 8 to 10 every Saturday. There's a podcast, though, so if you miss it, and it's on Facebook. You can get a hold of us at Firm Foundation for Life on Facebook. Send us an email. Send Jackie a note through Facebook. We'll be glad to talk to you.
Absolutely,
and,
please.
That'll do it for us. Thanks for listening today. Thanks to Mayor Dick Edwards of the City of Bowling Green and Cole Christiansen. Come on out to the Black Swamp Arts Festival. If you see us on the street, be sure to stop us and say hi. That'll do it for us.
Have a great week, everyone, and God bless.